Are you scared?
No, what of you? Could be kidding.
You should be. All right. Are MAB branded businesses your priority?
Oh, that's an interesting question. No, and let me explain why. We are the only proposition out there where a consumer brand is available as a choice to our firms. You can already start to see how much money is being spent in the estate agency, digital estate agency market, in the digital mortgage broker market, especially in London. You can't go past a bus or a tube without seeing advertising from Trussell, Habito, etc. There's mega money being spent, and that's traditionally not what's happened in the intermediary market. But it was always going to happen, and it will continue to happen. And although these guys are coming in with no brand, they will eventually build one if they spend enough money. There are also a lot of competitors out there that haven't entered this market yet. When you start to see what the panel were talking about in the last session, then yeah, you are going to get competitors with already big brands maybe coming into our sector and the housing sector to compete with us. So obviously it's important for us to offer that as a solution. Where I don't like the word network as such. I want us to be, and working really hard for us to be, the strongest strategic partner you've ever had, and part of that has got to be giving you the option of brand if that's what you want. But actually our biggest priority really is just dealing with the best forward-thinking firms we can do and work together in terms of the opportunities that lie ahead. If you want the brand or not, it doesn't cost any different, that's a choice, but we might as well leverage that brand to its full potential. Now we've got it, to ensure that the companies that are using it get value out of it. I was actually going to show you a video in the session this afternoon, which actually now there's questions come up. We could just show now, because one of the things we've developed, including social media links and online promotion, is actually a TV advert, which has been tested in the last week or so in a few targeted areas. So I will show you that because, I'll say that. It depends if the production team can bring it forward or not. Is that a yes or no, maybe? A yes? Brilliant, cool. So they'll run that advert in a minute. But it's just showing you what we're doing, and we're learning from a lot of this stuff, and we'll be able to share it with all our firms in terms of lead generation. We need to go and see what other firms are delivering, how effective these media are, and what can be achieved. Are we ready to roll? Yes?
We can't bear to watch anyone throw money away either, Winnie. So we advise reviewing your mortgage regularly. Our local experts search over 12,000 deals to find the best one. Mortgage Advice Bureau. Why pay more than you need to?
Cool. So it's just, we're out there testing what other firms are doing. I managed to get my dog's name in there, which is great. Couldn't actually get the dog in. Apparently it didn't have an equity license. It didn't know.
You can't act that dog.
Can't act. No, it can just sleep and fart. But it's but nevertheless, this is all learning for us. And so just to go back to that question, no, brand is not a priority. Yes, of course, it's a strategic option. Probably more important now than ever. But if not, we're going to use all that learning to help all our other firms build their brands and leverage all the learning that we get out of this.
Okay, I'll go back to that second question. I might go back to the first question. I'm asking the questions, right? I'm asking the questions.
That's what worries me.
How is MAB developing tech to compete with the new digital mortgage brokers and tech companies that are making serious investments in the likes of Zoopla and L&C? So loads of money, loads of competitors.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Yeah, look, I didn't bring that panel on for no reason today, and then say we can't help you with all of that. That'd be a bit pointless, wouldn't it? I mentioned earlier, I think Emma's working on a project, Emma Hollingworth, on MAB 2020, and that is looking at exactly all the things you've been hearing about today and we'll hear about later. And is trying to make sure that we can compete. Practical solutions for today, but real competitiveness in the future. Digital brokers, whether you like it or not, are here to stay, as are digital estate agents. They're not all going to get it right, but they're spending a huge amount of money learning, money we can't afford to spend, so let them spend it. And let's learn from their mistakes. Let's learn from the things they're going to succeed. Some will go by the wayside, some will be extremely successful. And they're now part of our landscape. They'll stay. So therefore, we've got to learn from that. We've got to make sure that whatever the customer wants, they get. Because actually, whatever we think about different business models, they're only going to succeed if the customer wants them actually to succeed. And we are all about the customer. And the one most important thing we've got to do if we want to continue to have access to 100% of the market is to deliver what the customer wants, how they want it, when they want it, and in the way they want it. And that's our major objective. That's what 220 is all about. So actually, in a way, everything you've seen and how we worked with Midas in the past is sort of over here. We're not really spending a lot of time on that now. We're spending time on building those solutions, including solutions where customers can engage with more autonomy before appointment, post-appointment, so they can engage more with the process rather than relying everything through the funnel of an advisor, so that we can adapt to every single different type of business client, every single type of business model, even every single type of country, make it agnostic. So when you all have different markets, all working with different types of customers and markets you operate in, to have a system that can literally be specific to how you want to deal with that. And that's your choice. Our job is to deliver a digital solution from beginning to end. And I think the panel mentioned earlier, there is no robo-advice just yet. I think Mike mentioned it, but it will come at some point. And what's coming right now is non-advised. That's what's really going to be leveraged in the short term. So we've got to create all those solutions, and trust me, we are. We have never been more focused on it. And I know you said, well, maybe I've heard that before. Well, I swear to God, this is where it's happening, and this is where our focus will be. And I expect to arm all of you with every single tool that you need, and to be as flexible to compete against your regional, local, national competitors as you need to be.
You're a very polite guy called Dave G with a very good question. So what's your view on the FCA? Now, he said apparent, I think absolutely transparent crusade to increase non-advised sales solutions for customers.
Well, we've seen the interim report from the FCA. Certainly their agenda is all about giving customers more choice. And that's really important. I get all that. If you think about the size of our market right now, and you believe the projections, which I personally do, that we're in about 140 billion switch market, that puts us at a combined market of about 400 billion. That's way higher than we had in 2008. And actually far better quality than we had in 2008. So from my perspective, that's a lot of customers, and a lot of customers that are of different levels of sophistication and experience, transactions which are simpler and more complex. And of course, you need to have choices out there in terms of how customers want to transact. You know, there'll be customers out there that don't want to speak to you necessarily, or don't want to have to see you, but may want to engage you in some way. And we can't expect everybody to keep coming back and going through that same experience time and time again. So in a way, you know, we have to be able to deliver what that customer needs. And as I mentioned earlier, if we don't, somebody else will. So my personal view is that this is an agenda which is not going away. And in the whole spectrum of customers we deal with, we have to offer those solutions. So, you know, whether it's non-advised, we want, you know, it's not fair, I don't think, if all we have is an advised proposition and then a consumer says and sees, oh, look, there's these non-advised solutions and robo-advised solutions, they're far quicker, they're far easier, I think I'll go over there. Then you get this Amazon-type scenario where, you know, you go for speed, ease and convenience and forget about the advice. So we've got to embrace this and give customers what's appropriate to them, but at the same time, make sure that we absolutely get across to people that advice is where we're at and why advice is so important. And what I don't get, you know, if you bought a house 3 years ago and you took a £200,000 mortgage out, then why 3 years later, when your product expires, do you no longer think it's worth shopping around when you did in the first place? Why wouldn't you take advice? Why wouldn't you compare, you know, 100 lenders, 12,000 products with what your current lender's offering you? And that's fantastic, and it's great news they are, and that actually widens the level of advice and value we can add to that to the customer. But what
we are forgetting people are stupid.
Yeah, we are, and there you go. Some people say, but that's our job. We've got to promote ourselves better. We've got to make ourselves indispensable to clients. We've got to offer those choices to our consumers. Otherwise, they will go down wherever is easier. And we've got to hang on and make sure advice is right. And if we can get the process of that advice right for more simplistic transactions, especially remos and transfers, to half an hour and cut out all the replication of paperwork and time and admin, then why would anybody not spend half an hour reviewing their mortgage, whether they're remortgaging, switching, whatever it might be? We've got to make it that easy, and we will make it that easy, and then we can compete in what is generally a bit of an unfair playing field when you're trying to create advice to a level playing field for the consumer.
There's an interesting question here, and it says anonymous, but I bet you it's from a BMA judge. Do you see MAB as a broker or a network?
Good question. Obviously, we've never entered a network award. If we're ever shortlisted, I'd pull us out of the shortlist. And there's a reason for that. You know, number one, I don't like the word network. I think we've got to think and act and be as agile as a broker, and that's why I've always wanted to think like a broker and not think like a traditional network. That's not going to give you any strategic advantage. And I guess, if you look at the people that do use the Mortgage Advice Bureau brand, we've now actually got full national postcode face-to-face coverage in the UK. So we are actually, that you guys, independent businesses, are creating a national brand, and therefore you are a broker. Why not? But at the same time, we work with all the firms, in the same way. We provide the same service to everybody, whether branded or non-branded. And I want to continue positioning ourselves as a broker. What does it mean to be a network? We should be proud to be brokers. I want to champion the broker cause. I want us, whether you're branded or non-branded, to champion the fact that we are mortgage people, we know what we're doing, and we're putting the customer first, and we're going to really take this whole market by the scruff of the neck and make sure the opportunities that are created here, we will benefit from.
I think the consumer most definitely would want to deal with a mortgage broker and be scared of dealing with something called a mortgage network. So I think you've made the right decision, for what it's worth.
No, I'll take that one opinion off you. Yeah.
Is there a conflict with your existing ARs and your digital / robo involvement?
Not sure what that means. I guess, I suppose what that could mean is, we work with people like Trussell and Purple Bricks. No, not really. I mean, these models are here to stay, as I've mentioned. And if they're going to end up being a lead source for you guys, we've got to get involved with them and understand how we should deliver a service to these people. And if you think about a lot of these firms that have come into play, they've come in thinking we're going to change the world, but actually, most of what they do is still the traditional way, and they work with us. So actually, I see these guys as lead sources for you people. Everybody here are leads, they're all lead sources, and I'm seeing that happen now, where some of these original business models are backing off and saying, actually, we want to work with a traditional face-to-face solution or a telephone solution. Can you provide that? And I think there is cooperation to be had. We can learn from their digital experiences, and they can also work with us for us to deliver the telephony face-to-face, and together create a hybrid solution for the consumer. So we can provide a hybrid solution. These guys can't. And that's the big advantage. We have trust and experience, trust of the customer, real experience of our business, not of technology as much, but building out from where we are and adding telephony, adding digital, adding non-advised, adding robo-advice, that's easier for us to do. And then the customer can decide what they want. Because ultimately what happens in this world is we start with traditional, and then someone comes at the right time and goes, right, it's all about digital, and my solution's best, and we're saying our solution's best. But ultimately, where do we end up? We end up in a hybrid scenario that happens everywhere in all walks of life, and that's actually what the customer wants, choice. And we can build that choice out. Digital firms can't. Or if they want to deliver it, they have to deliver it for people like you in this room.
So you're like a Lexus. You're not
I'm waiting for this one.
And you're not an electric car, you're a hybrid. I like that.
I think you're more a hybrid, to be fair. But,
so do you see a great deal of consolidation coming in the intermediary sector? How big do you think you need to be safe? Don't say anything hard about John Charcoal.
I don't think in this particular case size is actually that important. There are plenty of big firms that are exposed. There are plenty of very quality one-man bands that have really strong lead sources and relationships and potentially are more agile. So I think there will be more consolidation. We've seen consolidation. There's some happened recently in the network world. There'll be a few more I know are in the pipeline right now. But actually, when you've seen some of these things happen, what does consolidation actually achieve? Because if you haven't actually improved the customer proposition, if you haven't moved your business towards where the customer's coming from, and all you've done is add these few hundred people to these few hundred people, what actually have you achieved? And in this world now, and where we're moving to, we need to enhance our customer proposition, give them more choice, be absolutely indispensable to them. And actually just merging people, that's not where the effort should be. The effort should be focused on the consumer and how we look after our customers. So although I think you'll see some of it, I don't necessarily think it's necessary. I can't see the benefit to the consumer of it. And ultimately, if there's no benefit to the consumer of it, especially in the world we're approaching now, then I don't think it's going to be a very successful one. There are firms where the culture fits right, they absolutely complement each other. We've done it a few times in the past, and that will be right, and it's right for that to happen. But not just out of a panic move to acquire distribution. We're beyond that now, collecting people. It's about strategy, direction, the consumer, and what we're trying to achieve.
So the growth is going to be organic rather than acquisitorial?
Yeah, I mean, to me, organic growth is by far the best. Over half our growth in MAB is organic. It comes from you guys because we attract and we're lucky enough to work with people that want to build their local market share or national market share, and bringing good people into good businesses with clear strategies, clear direction, clear customer proposition has got to be better than just collecting people you know nothing about and quite often, not really doing an awful lot of business. So those sort of people I don't really see a space for moving forward. And I wonder where their lead sources are going to come from. We need to, and we're now starting to get more involved in looking at how we get into these lead sources, because as you can see, people can take those lead sources away if we're not on the front foot.
You've got a footprint in Australia, that's not up there, but would you consider other countries? I mean, would you consider Wales, for example?
I think I've done my bit for Wales. I've got Gareth and I've got David Priest. I used to have Helen Duffy, so I think my job's done in Wales, to be fair. So probably not. Would we consider other countries? Obviously, yes, we have gone into Australia. In fact, we've got four of our partners from Australia here today, so welcome to all of you. I think they win the prize for coming here the longest, and they will be drinking all the Fosters later. In fact, they actually hate Fosters in Australia, amazingly, which is a bit of trivia for you. But look, that was a venture for us to see in a similar market what we could do. Without the right technology platform I talked about earlier, which is client-specific, lead source-specific, or quite frankly, country-specific, we wouldn't go any further without that. But I wouldn't rule it out. But we've got to get far further advanced in terms of where we need to be and how we're going to deal with consumers first.
There's an interesting question which you might be quite challenged to answer. So we've got mapped out and we've got quite firm ideas of where robo-advice and mortgages is. Do you see any kind of robo-advice and life insurance evolution?
Yeah, I mean, the guys that you saw Matt today on the panel from RGA. RGA are a massive reinsurer. They sit behind the likes of L&G and others in terms of understanding the risks of claims, pricing, etc. They're actually more of the insurance company, I guess. And they've got a think tank, and we've been chatting to them, and they're working through many strands of very off-the-wall scenarios of how the information they're gathering from consumers can be used to position protection more correctly, price it more accurately, and make it more customer-specific. Personally, I don't think right now that any customer is going to be able to really understand the importance of protection unless you talk to them, because it's not something that they're aware they need. And when they do go online, typically they just buy term assurance rather than actually looking what's most important to them and their families. So I think this is why it's so important that however digital the journey is, we disrupt that, we push that client a little bit to come out of that journey, establish a relationship with a broker that can make that clear. There will be tools, just like with mortgages, that will make that process a lot easier for us. And actually anything that help that client before they talk to us, give them some engagement tools which will get them down that journey. So actually people believe that actually I do need to talk to this advisor about protection. So I think technology can be used for that. You're already going to see from Andy later, I guess, about how he's using statistics and MI to make it more clear for the customer about what the risks are. But do expect a lot of innovation in the protection space, but I think that's where it really plays to your strength. Anybody relying on technology just for protection isn't going to do particularly well, and I don't think they're going to develop a really strong relationship and bond with their clients.
Last question, you're going on.
Fair enough.
You can afford to put your feet up now. Is that why you've got Ben Thompson in? And why have you employed a Liverpool fan? I don't know, but...
Got a few. Sharon's a Liverpool fan as well, our compliance director. So.
Very bad.
But you can't really speak. You're a Man United fan. So, yeah, we're
so
incredibly
is that it? Is that it?
You've already proven you've got bad taste in football teams and shirts. Sorry, any Man United fans. So.
I've got matching underwear as well.
Just what we wanted to hear.
So is that it? Ben Thompson coming? You're going to put your feet up?
Oh, Christ. When anybody really knows me, that isn't going to happen, is it? I'm probably working harder now than ever before. And actually, everything you've heard today and everything, hopefully, I've said today, shows you how much of an opportunity and challenge the next 3 or 4 or 5 years are going to be. I'm really excited about it. This is the biggest opportunity, I think, for all of us. Why would I want to walk away at a time like this? My job is to take everybody here and work with you all here to move you into the new world, the consumer-focused world. and make sure we really kick some ass in that world and join our strengths and together and really, really absolutely dominate that market where I think the opportunities will lie. So no, I'm not going anywhere. And actually in the last 3.5 years, I think everybody focuses on Ben, but he's a 7th key appointment I've made since the business listed 3.5 years ago. And some of those people you haven't even seen yet. I mean, you're going to see Emma for the first time, you're going to see Andy this afternoon. But some of those people you haven't seen, they're working behind the scenes tirelessly. A lot of the things they do are still in the pipeline. They're all part of that 220 project, because what we decided a while ago is that we're not going to just do things that people have got on the list. We're going to put the list to one side and focus where we need to be in 2-3 years' time. And if it doesn't fit on that, we're not going to do it. Otherwise, we won't get where we need to be, and we won't be able to deliver to you what you need. So this has been a building exercise to build a team around me that will support you better and give us the resource at high level to take us on to the next place we need to be. So Ben is obviously a key part of that for me. He'll take on some of my manager reports, but he will work more importantly with me on the strategy of the business. He's bringing some great expertise, both in the mortgage and conveyancing and tech side of the sector. We're a listed business. He's been running a listed business. The investors have spoken really highly of him too. He's a top individual, and he's another great addition to our team on top of the team that you'll see today and others that are working behind the scenes. Will I be able to take a few more holidays because Ben's here? God, I hope so. And will I get him to do a bit of work on stage next year? Probably, but I'm going nowhere.
Excellent. And so just as a little final note from me, I don't think anyone's ever likened you to George Clooney before, but you have built a George Clooney business. So George Clooney, loved by women, admired by men, respected by his enemies. I think MAB is a George Clooney business. The customers love what you do. All the providers and the lenders admire all the people in MAB, with the exception of Gareth. And even your competitors respect you. So I think, even though you are weird, well done. So a round of applause for your CEO.